Moxie wants to know, do you have any pets and what are your hobbies? Moxie, age 11.
This is a hard one, really a political minefield. I actually don't have any pets. I had pets growing up. I don't have any right now. I actually had hamsters when I was a kid. That was really fun.
What were their names?
Little Bear. I just read The Indian in the Cupboard, and I read that book. Great name for that. And my brother's called Nosy. We had bred them, actually. So I don't know how much detail I want to go into here, but anyway, it was a pretty good little business when I was like 8 years old, where we'd we'd get like 12 baby hamsters at a time, and then we'd sell them to the pet store for $2 a pop, and it's pretty good money when you're 8 years old in the 1990s. So that was the pets issue. What hobbies? Well, I do, I don't really have a lot of hobbies these days other than going around the state campaigning to be governor. That's been pretty all-consuming over the last couple months. I do pretty ordinary stuff. I like to watch sports and go to sporting events. I go to the gym. I hang out with my family. I'm lucky to live in the same community as my parents and my brother and his family and his nephews. So we have family dinner every Sunday night, and which is really a blessing. Before COVID happened, and we're starting to get back to this, one of the great things about being a legislator is that, you of course spend a lot of your time at the Capitol legislating, but you also get to be very present in the community, and constantly going to different events of Rotary and Lions Club, of chambers of commerce, of political organizations. You're recognizing extraordinary people with resolutions and certificates. You're touring facilities that provide important services. And so that's kind of my favorite element of the job, maybe, is you really get to see the community at its best. And so that kind of ends up serving not as a hobby so much, but it's kind of a part of the job that nevertheless, that at the same time is fun, because you're participated in community life in a lot of different ways.
Thank you so much for that question. I like when we have these young people and young patriots here asking questions and getting involved in the political process. This is like Civics 101 for everybody who has brought their school-age children here. And now this is my question. I think we're out of questions in the box unless anyone has any to add. But my question, Kevin, is I'd like to know if you could share with us, what are the qualities and characteristics that come to mind of a true leader? And what characters from history, well, not characters, like real people from history. Oh, see, that was somebody from history sending us a message, okay? What characters from history do you feel are inspirational to you in terms of leadership?
Well, I think that, maybe the most important thing, and especially when it comes to political leadership, but I think this is probably true more generally, is just, listening to and empowering people, and understanding your own limitations. Having a sense of humility. Like, that is maybe, I think, what is needed most in government these days, not only in the conduct of our state's chief executive, but in the role of government itself. So it's not trying to run all of our lives. But also, that's where kind of my foremost philosophy of government comes from, is that decisions should always be made closest to those that they impact. And so I think that we need to vastly decentralize the way power is distributed in this state. We have seen more and more power centralized in Sacramento, right? And these bureaucracies have grown bigger and more controlling all year after year. But this last year and a half, it's like it all just got fast forwarded, right, to the furthest extreme of one-man rule from Sacramento. And so I think we need to move back in the direction of placing trust in local communities and citizens to make choices for themselves. Historical figures, there was a book I read a long time ago called Lincoln on Leadership, which was about Lincoln's views on leadership. And, a lot of the lessons I drew a lot of lessons from that book that are consistent with what I was just saying. He would do things like, even kind of in the thick of the Civil War, he would set aside like whole days, or at least large parts of them, to meet people who would just line up at the White House. Not any special, not just other members of Congress or lobbyists or whatever, but ordinary citizens who would come in. He called them public opinion baths, which I'm not sure I like that term, but you get the idea that you need to hear from people and hear their concerns directly, and that gives you the sort of ideas and information that you need to actually act in a proper way. And I think that If we sort of understood political leadership more in that vein, then politics might be more tolerable in this state, certainly, and maybe even across the country. If we sort of, went back to what was truly the great innovation of America, was self-government. The idea that every person has a role to play in their community, as a self-determining citizen. If you read Tocqueville, Democracy in America, this is actually a tome. It's a very big book, so maybe just read some excerpts. But he was a Frenchman who came to America in the early 1800s and observed the ways in which American culture was different than Europe. And the thing that struck him most was the way that every citizen was actively engaged in community life and in politics. And he'd say that, you go here and there's a civic association meeting and there's a debate going on here. And yes, the legislatures, they met, but that was really just like a blip on the radar. The real action was the people as a whole, debating in a very engaged way on the issues of the day. And everyone felt like they could have an impact. And the thing that I hear most from people in our state is how do I make my voice heard? How do I have an impact? How do I influence these terrible bills that are coming from our legislature? And I never have a great answer, because the reality is that our political class has made it more and more difficult for you as a citizen to be heard. And so I think at the end of the day, that is really the larger meaning of this recall, is reviving, the whole idea of citizenship. Those words, 5 words from our Declaration of Independence, the consent of the governed. Might be the most forgotten 5 words in the Declaration of Independence. We've been told for too long that our voices don't matter in this state. We've been told for the last year and a half that only one person's voice matters. But this recall is all of us, millions of people, saying with one voice, no, our voices still do matter.